Something seismic is unfolding beneath the still waters of the Persian Gulf. Imagine this. The sun barely rises, and a massive hull emerges near the Strait of Hormuz. It is unlike anything Iran has deployed before. A repurposed commercial ship bearing drones instead of fighters, helicopters instead of jets, and a mission that could redraw the rules of naval warfare. For months, tension between Tehran and Washington has quietly mounted. Now it has reached a critical moment. In one corner, a USA Navy armada, spearheaded by the USS Abraham Lincoln carrier strike group, backed by destroyers, fighters, and airborne drones, moves into the region. In the opposite corner, Iran's revolutionary fleet has put its first naval drone carrier into waters that feed nearly a quarter of the world as oil supply. One side calls it deterrence. The other calls it a threat. This is not a simple naval buildup. It is a psychological duel, a strategic chess match played across open seas and global headlines. The question is not just about hardware anymore. It's about will, perception, and the danger that a single misstep could send shockwaves through global markets and international stability. And right now, both sides are waiting, watching, and preparing, in silence that feels like warfare in itself. At first glance, the ship seems unremarkable. It began life as a 42,000-ton commercial container vessel known as the Persian. But that's where the benign story ends. Over 2 years, Iranian engineers converted this hulking civilian ship into a bold, new centerpiece of naval strategy, the Shahid Bagheri drone carrier. Its deck stretches nearly 180 meters, forming a runway where fixed-wing drones and helicopters can take off. Beneath the surface, vast hold space shelters dozens of unmanned aerial vehicles ready for launch into contested airspace. According to state media, his vessel is designed to host multiple squadrons of patrol and combat drones, patrol helicopters, and even small missile craft. It carries advanced electronic equipment, air defense systems, and the ability to operate continuously for extended missions far from Iranian shorelines. Strategically, that changes the dynamic in a region where Iran has long relied on fast attack boats, coastal missile batteries, and smaller naval assets. Suddenly, Tehran has a mobile aerial platform that can project power, gather intelligence, and potentially saturate enemy defenses with waves of unmanned systems. To outsiders, it may not look like a traditional aircraft carrier, but in Iran's eyes, it is a vessel built for the long, asymmetrical struggle ahead. In response to growing regional volatility, the United States has moved substantial naval power into the Middle East. The centerpiece is the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier strike group, accompanied by guided missile destroyers, support vessels, and air assets. This fleet represents not just military muscle, but also a deliberate message. The U.S. can deploy overwhelming force if necessary, and it will not shy away from showing capability in key strategic waters. Washington's military presence is more than a posture. It provides options for commanders in both diplomacy and warfare, from rapid strikes to defensive blockade if the situation deteriorates. But as powerful as it is, the deployment also carries risks. A confrontation between American supercarriers and Iran's unconventional naval forces could escalate quickly beyond anyone's control. Analysts say Iran's drone carrier does not match U.S. carriers in sheer firepower. The Abraham Lincoln can launch dozens of fighter sorties, deploy advanced surveillance planes, and bring precision strike capability within hours. Still, its presence near Iranian waters acts as a deterrent and a political signal that Washington is serious about protecting its interests. Iran's strategy does not try to match the U.S. in conventional strength. Instead, it relies on asymmetry, using low-cost technology, clever deployments, and unconventional tactics to create dilemmas for superior forces. This approach borrows from proxy campaigns seen in places like Yemen, where drone and missile strikes disrupted shipping and forced companies to reroute fleets around Africa. Tehran has observed how inexpensive drones, launched in mass, can strain advanced defensive systems by sheer numbers alone. That is the theory? If you can deliver hundreds of unmanned systems at once, even sophisticated radars and interceptors may struggle to keep up. In this framework, a vessel like the Shahid Bagheri isn't just a platform. It is a node in a broader network of asymmetric pressure that could threaten high-value targets over time. Additionally, Iran has reportedly deployed medium-altitude surveillance drones to monitor U.S. naval movements, probing reaction times and gathering intelligence without direct confrontation. Even without open conflict, tensions flare in subtle ways. In recent weeks, Iranian drones have flown near U.S. carrier operations, prompting warnings about unsafe activity. One U.S. Navy spokesperson described such encounters as unprofessional and risky, highlighting how easily misunderstanding could spark escalation. These episodes show just how thin the line has become between normal military operations and flashpoints that could trigger a sharp reaction from either side. Leaders in Tehran and Washington continue to exchange stark rhetoric. For Iran, any foreign military threat is framed as an infringement on sovereignty. Tehran has claimed that negotiations under threat are impossible, reinforcing a tough stance against external pressure. Meanwhile, U.S. officials portray their military moves as defensive and precautionary, asserting that presence in the Gulf aims to protect shipping lanes and partner nations. Outside voices have urged restraint. Regional powers and international observers warn that combining military pressure with diplomatic demands risks shutting down space for negotiation, increasing the chance of unintended escalation. This diplomatic impasse leaves little room for compromise. Both sides hold firm on their conditions, making it difficult to find common ground as military assets continue to move into contested waters. At the heart of this standoff is a narrow waterway with outsized global importance: the Strait of Hormuz. Nearly a quarter of the world's oil supply flows through it every day. Any disruption, even a brief one, would ripple through energy markets worldwide, pushing prices higher and straining economies that rely on stable oil shipments. Iran knows this. That is why its naval deployments, including the Shahid Bagheri, are not just military moves, but strategic ones, a blend of deterrence and signaling that Tehran could impact global commerce if the crisis worsens. Today, no shots have been fired in open warfare, yet forces on both sides are poised like fighters waiting for a bell to ring. In the coming days, millions around the globe will watch how diplomatic channels operate under this pressure. Will cooler heads prevail? Or will an accident, a misinterpreted signal, a dangerous encounter at sea send events careening into confrontation? This moment in history is more than a military standoff. It is a test of strategy, restraint, and the ability of powerful nations to coexist without resort to conflict. And as the sun sets on the Persian Gulf each day, the shadow cast by these two naval powers grows longer, a reminder that peace now hangs by a thread and the world is watching.